Hello, thanks for being here. Welcome. As for the topic of my video today, I want to discuss something that I've acquired. Very exciting. Much memorabilia from the World's Fairs still exists, and if you have any, please feel free to send it to my P.O. box. I've recently acquired a DVD, or just a disc, with about 100 World's Fairs books, all digitized. I don't have a disc thing on my computer, but I look forward to getting one soon and sharing those books with you. In the meantime, this arrived in the mail from the Columbian Souvenir Institute, and it's a notebook. Seems innocent enough. Of course, a World's Fair notebook. And I've been sitting on this for a couple weeks now, still not fully organized and unpacked. But we can look at history on the internet all day long, photos and historical narratives they give us. But perhaps the best thing would have been to talk to people. Most of them are gone at this point. But the next best thing might be to get a hold of things. Souvenirs like this, various tech, even snatching up some buildings if one could afford to, in areas that have not been sanitized by the controllers. I would love to have a building from the old world that we could go through, even excavate, revealing the levels underneath. Something I've been talking about with the channel Streets of Tartaria. Excellent channel. I suggest checking him out. Boots on the ground research on at least 30 towns in Utah, all showing examples of mud flood. Utah, of course, being such a new state, such a recent addition, we are told, to our timeline, and yet we have the evidence of mud flood or reset burying wondrous buildings, very similar to what we find everywhere. But back to my little notebook. What prompted this little notebook, or me to acquire it, goes back to this World's Fair passport. I feel like I had done much research into the World's Fairs by the time I saw this photo, and I think all of us were taken by this photo. Here her name seems to be Frances Houston, and one thing that always intrigued our community was the eye color. Only 3 options: blue, brown, or gray. Very interesting. And we know about the orphans, we know about the incubator babies at the World's Fairs. I even showed a clip in a past video with Jerry Seinfeld proclaiming that his father was an incubator baby at Coney Island, New York. And the interviewer laughed, and Seinfeld was like, "No, I'm serious." He really was. And what a strange thing. When I saw this photo with this scared-looking girl, I think, holding this chalkboard, this crusty number, 5077, I thought, what the hell is the World's Fair? This is way too intrusive. Even for today, if you went to Disneyland and you had this passport and you were taking photos and holding something like you're a convict or you're being controlled, you no longer have sovereignty. And this girl does not look excited to be at this stupid World's Fair. And why do I say stupid World's Fair? Because it looks like the most boring fair ever. Besides a Ferris wheel occasionally, it's really just hundreds of acres of breathtaking buildings. Million square foot buildings, hundreds of feet tall. And the narrative tells us they're temporary. We in this community don't think so. But regardless, even if they were permanent or temporary, it doesn't help the cause for this boring fair. Nobody seems impressed in the photos. Nobody's even looking at the buildings. And I have hypothesized that these old World's Fairs could have been indoctrination camps, or could have been hubs for post-reset civilization. In these early time periods, these World's Fairs going back to the 1850s, the people are very well dressed, and the whole thing just doesn't make much sense. In this early time period, it'd be so difficult to travel and to lodge and to leave your country, to go to another country. The idea of a World's Fair, up until the eventuality of the automobile, is unrealistic. And what led me to this, that I want to share with you guys today, was essentially this passport. And I found this passport, as I've mentioned before, on a Russian channel's video. I took a screenshot, and I think I lost that original screenshot. And I ended up combing the internet, and if any of you can help me, please do, for another passport like this. Surely if there's one, there had to have been many. Oh, I'm just noticing that this one has been cancelled. Boom, it's been hit by a rubber stamp. 1899. And this here book that I want to show you today is 1897. So this is a couple years older even than this passport. And I was all over. I was trying to go through all different sites to find memorabilia. And finally I found this. And just as this passport offers us a clue onto how or what kind of feeling this fair is actually invoking in somebody, in this case, Francis, I thought surely other little clues would give us some insight or lend to our already existing theories or ideas. Sorry if you can hear the wind in the background. Gusts of 60 miles an hour tonight. The wind makes you very tired. It seems to push on you, exhausting you. And sure enough, this book did lend a lot to these ideas. And I'm going to share this book. Originally, I wanted to share it in real time, just kind of flipping through the book and point a camera at it. But my webcam is not as good as my iPhone, so I just took some pictures instead, and we're just going to go through this book. However, before we do that, real quick, I want to share something else pertaining to the World's Fair. In a past video, I will have told you the fact that my parents met at the World's Fair in Canada, in Quebec, and they were both working at the World's Fair. My mom, a local of Quebec, took a job at Belgium's World's Fair booth. In this booth, she was serving beer and I think waffles. Belgium is known for their wonderful waffles. It was not my mother's first time being at the World's Fair. She went when she was much younger, as a customer, as an attendee. And here she is, and here's her World's Fair passport. And I showed her this passport once, and that's when she told me she had a World's Fair passport. And people in the past had asked me if I thought the World's Fair was legitimate, especially the more recent ones. And yes, clearly I believe that there really were World's Fairs. But this is 1967, and this is 1899. And I would like to examine the World's Fair, even of 67. To me it looked very modern. It had that very 60s feel to it. The buildings. Were they refacaded to give it a 60s look? I don't know. Something I haven't dug into and am reserving for the future. My mother attests that they built a lot of the monorails, and they even built an island. And to this day, they are still holding World's Fairs. Who is excited to go? I don't know. I just really wanted to share this. Clearly by 67 there was nothing unusual about the World's Fair. In fact, it seemed fun. So back to my book, 1897. We're just looking for clues of what these World's Fairs of the past really were. And I don't want to waste too much time going over the narrative I suggest you watch some of my other World's Fair videos, and I have a playlist with some of them. Today I just want to be open-minded, just have a little look at this notebook and see what it has to say. The Columbian Souvenir Institute Notebook. Okay, so are you given this, or must you buy this? Let's see. At institutes, where hundreds of points are given each day for 2 or 3 weeks. Hundreds of points each day. A carefully kept notebook is of vital importance. Why the hell is anything of vital importance at a World's Fair? Sorry. Just weird. A carefully kept notebook. And again, like I said, this lends to the indoctrination camp idea. That was just a random hypothesis of mine years ago. Not so random at all. I mean, it's just what the evidence seemed to point to. And here, vital importance. I mean, first of all, in most of these photos, we don't even see children, which is odd for a fair. It's mostly adults in nice clothes, strolling around aimlessly. And I could see talking to Frances here like that. And Frances looks like somebody's been telling her that she has to keep notes for hundreds of points each day, carefully, and this is vitally important. And poor Frances, how stressful. This fair, again, doesn't sound fun. And in this instance, the holder of the notebook is a Jasmine Pearson. And mind you, this book is a couple years older, 1897. Here Jasmine has the number 87-38 in Division C. Or is that a G? If such a book be kept systematically, it will be consulted afterwards. Very, very, very weird. This to me is like you'll get a grade before the term grade. You'll be consulted afterwards. If the book is kept systematically, because this is of vital importance. If it is not, what are the consequences? Otherwise not. So serious. In taking notes, give the gist in a few words. And then it has this Latin. And really interesting, I just freshly took these pictures and look how it lets me highlight. And here I've looked up this Latin expression, and it's defined as a word to the wise is sufficient. Here we go. Really odd. Who has the luxury to look that up like I just did on the internet in this time period? And they would tell us everybody spoke Latin. And perhaps they did. Their writing was better, their architecture was better. But I do think all of this is an afterthought. If you've watched my past videos, I don't think all of this would be constructed for a fair. I don't think they could build it, and I don't think they would. Not for this. Look at this. This is the main notebook for the Columbia Exposition. And seeming as creepy as this passport, same time period. I'm not sure if this particular passport of Frances Houston is the Chicago World's Fair, or is it the St. Louis? I'm not sure. But this clearly is the Chicago World's Fair. 1897, copyright down here. And here, just to show you pretty much the whole book. Some pictures at the beginning, a little entry that we'll read here in a moment, and then some entries at the end, and really the bulk of this notebook looking like this. 90% of every page in this notebook is this page right here, just a copy of this. And here, something has been written. There's only one entry, only one in this whole book, and this is it. She wrote her name on the front, as we just saw, and here she wrote one passage, and maybe ran away. If a child can see, hear, touch, and handle, he will begin to talk. And here, as you can see, these are the pages that you're supposed to take notes in. The week, the day, the hour, the subject, the instructor. Come on. This backs up everything that I've said in the past. And in the past it was more speculative. And now it is not. What is this? This is the World's Fair notebook, instructor, subject, the importance of taking meticulous notes. So this is not a fair. Hundreds of topics per day. Instructor, hissy. There's a term called having a hissy fit. Maybe this is the original hissy. Subject, primary work. No great innovation, nothing worldly. Primary, boring-ass work. And here it seems like child raising may have been the first subject. Maybe they strolled into the incubator baby rooms. And this is the note she took from what she heard. And by now she's not feeling well. Her writing was very nice and on the line here. And now she's starting to dip below the line. Uncertain. And what do they say here? Use a page for each recitation. This book is large enough. And paper is cheap. Really? We have to let them know this? This is like some indoctrination just within the instructions. I often found in school that within the instructions were the indoctrination. Even within a test, the brainwashing was encoded. Paper is cheap. If nothing is gleaned from the recitation worth noting on this page, leave it blank. A blank page is often the most truthful record. Again, subtle indoctrination. When the heading above is filled out, the instructor and teacher are charged with the hour, and this page shows up the account. By writing in the page, continued from, or continued on, each subject may be conveniently read in a connected whole. The instructor and teacher are charged with the hour, and the page shows up the account. What are they talking about? I think we know. I mean, I would like to buy a notebook at the World's Fair with directions to the concessions and the Ferris wheel and amusements. Here we can see the manufacturer's building from Machinery Hall. What a complete mess. Look at all this mud. I mean, let's just forego a building and pave the damn place, so the participants aren't walking in the mud. No, we need to build 200 buildings, but we can't pave the grounds. Not even with a temporary sidewalk? Some gravel, perhaps? Here is the electricity building. And the fish building. We don't often see the fish building. She seems to be overlooked by all the other wonders. Very important to have a fish building rising vertically. Perhaps they put the exotic fish up here in these cupolas. The administration building, we know it well. And again, I want to stress that you can't make temporary plaster that will hold up in the water. The horticultural building, this will have been glass, like a big greenhouse. Anything but temporary materials. I mean, the point is, we know they lie to us. We know this is just a bunch of BS, that these buildings aren't temporary. So that just makes us suspicious of this book. And this book now becomes an excellent clue that we have never seen in this community before. Here, teaching about the different branches of government. And they found this very important to put in the World's Fair book. Here, a chart of political parties. Very interesting. Here we have the federal and the anti-federal. 1816. Disorganized. Era of good feeling. 1826. National Republican Party. 1832, the Whig Party, Liberty and Free Soil Party, and here they wrote Know Nothing Party. And again in 1853, Disorganized. How weird. And then Abraham Lincoln, after Disorganized. Just a blank here. And the black indicates parties in power. So here it's anti-federal, it begins federal. And here's the second page in the book. How to Study, a book for self-improvement in school and home. Cloth-bound, price $1. So somebody had to buy this book, this notebook, which is mostly blank as I said. This book aims to give students suggestions and directions as to the manner and method of study. In the first 40 pages, it gives general suggestions on developing an active, healthful, vigorous mind and points out the evil effects of bad habits, of study, and of thought. Unbelievable. At the World's Fair. Next, it takes up the common branches separately, giving suggestions on the method of studying each. The last part is devoted to character building, or the development of the man. Unbelievable here. Character building. Honey, let's go to the World's Fair. What's going on there? Oh, character building and the development of man as a work apart from the acquisition of knowledge. From the author's preface, we quote as follows. Many people acquire knowledge, few get wisdom. The manner and method of acquisition is of great importance. The faculty and acquiring and committing is not one of the highest order. In fact, it is often found in inverse ratio to the power to originate, apply, and utilize, and the wrong habit of acquiring knowledge may do more harm to the student than the knowledge itself benefits. So here it seems like they're telling us to keep a closed mind, that if you don't learn their way, you may as well not learn at all. You could do more harm by acquiring knowledge the wrong way. Basically, you have to go through them. You have to do the way that they tell you, or you're wasting your time. Let's skip down a little bit. This book should be in the hands of 3rd, 4th, and 5th reader pupils. A lesson assigned them as one class each day, and a general recitation given for its thorough discussion. Special rates to teachers and county superintendents desiring large quantities to supply pupils. So really working in cahoots with the inheritors of the city, or counties and their superintendents or controllers. Here in the back of the book, we have a little math. The math they found was important to put in this book. This is really weird. Left blank. Who is the governor? Term? How many years? What is their salary? Was this a little test? Is this so important? And I could see that as part of the indoctrination, even in my own. Seems like I always knew who our officials were, and it was so important, and that was part of our history in school, this person and that person. And even when I followed current events, I found a self-contrived seeming importance on knowing all the people and control and power. These days I don't know and don't care. And yet this seems to be the beginning of stressing the importance of these positions. And here are a few more pictures. The Palace of Fine Arts, one of my favorites. A grand view of the gallery, or the city. The Machinery Hall, just one of the most mind-blowing. Machinery Hall. Just a poor title or redesignation. Doesn't even make any sense. This building puts 99% of buildings in the realm to shame. If this building doesn't take your breath away, I don't know what would. Here, the peristyle, whatever that is, not important at all. Completely not having a function, just some Arch of Triumph. Looking like the Arch of Triumphs all over the realm, in every city. Looking as legit and authentic as anything of the old world. And without a stupid story like the World's Fair, we would just assume that it was of the same builders of the old world. The government building. Why do you even need a government building at a World's Fair? And the agricultural building in the background, and some temporary fountains. So that's it. I hope you enjoyed. Please let me know what you think. Does this confirm the previous hypothesis that these were actually more like schools for the inheritors? At least the first wave of inheritors who would go on to shape humanity for the next 150 years.